Hello everyone, and welcome to Judy's Creations in Crochet. And today is September the 18th, 2025. And just for half a minute here, I have my other little furry girl, the little one we call her, and she's just coming through, but she doesn't want to stay up. So you got a chance to see her for a change. She doesn't too often venture into this room, but she came in to check out, I think she wanted to check out the yarn that's sitting down there. There's some new bags. So, welcome to my channel. I'm coming to you from Chatham, Ontario, which is in the southwesternmost tip of Ontario and the southernmost tip of Canada. And I like to talk about crocheted items and yarn. And particularly I like to talk about hand-dyed yarn, the luxury yarns. I enjoy them so much, and I don't think too many channels focus on it. A lot of people focus on the acrylics and other yarns that you can get in the big box stores. And we don't have big box stores around here, so I shop online, although I've limited my shopping to Canadian indie dyers this last couple of years, and that's what I talk about mostly. So if this sounds like something of interest to you, I hope you'll stay around, and I want to welcome everybody. And I want to say a big thank you to those that joined us on the live that we had on Sunday. And if you missed that, you can check back. It is in replay now, and quite a few of you did go back and comment on it. And in that video, you would have seen this, what I am wearing today. And this is the honey, just looked it up, honey ripple scarf, and I altered it to put it into a cowl. Some made scarves, some made blankets, some made wraps, and quite a variety of things. And it is meant, the original pattern is meant to have a main color, and then I believe it's 6, it might be more in the pattern, 6 different other colors. But a lot of you made it in a color changing yarn, and I did make a blanket that way, and it turns out fine if you do that as well. So this is part of my theme for this month. As you know, this is our celebration month. I'm celebrating a birthday and a podiversary, both of them next week. And next week, just very quickly, is also going to be video number 200 in the weekly videos. So just so you can see this up close, I used the navy in the, I think it's called Cosmic Confetti fingering from EFA. And then I had a set of minis that I put with it. And I have quite a bit of those minis left, so I'll be looking for something else to make with them. So I haven't been doing a lot. I am working on my butterfly mal item, and it's upstairs. I didn't bring it down. I will show it maybe, yeah, I probably will show it next week. And I've also still been working on the blanket. I can show you that. I've made a little bit of progress. When I showed it to you last week, I think I was in maybe the middle of the green, and now I've progressed farther in the cake. I'll show you that in just a minute. The pattern I'm using is the thistle, the Scottish thistle, and I think it's Alison Russell is the name of the designer. I will link them in the description box below. And I'm doing this with a 5.5 millimeter hook. And this is what I'm using. This one is kind of I'll get a good one. I have another one over here. I'm using a Lion Brand cupcake, and this is the color. There's some of that blue in the center. Oh, actually, it's almost purple. But that is what I'm using. It has 590 yards in a cake, and I'm hoping I can do this blanket in 1.5 cakes, which will leave me a half a cake, and I have a third cake, and later I'll be able to make something else. I might just make a corner to corner with this if I have enough left over. So that's what I've been working on. I've made that much progress in the last week. I have 2 more weeks to kind of get a blanket done here, I hope, and go on from there. So that's it. Not much progress there. Now, I said that this week was going to be all about, maybe we could call it a tutorial, a mini tutorial. I don't call it a tutorial. I call it more like a recipe for making a poncho. I had a request to do this because I quite frequently make a poncho in a different manner. So what I'm going to do is break right here, because I did videotape in sections to show you how I make this particular poncho, and I'll insert it here, and then I will be back. So I have been asked to do a tutorial on the type of poncho that I like to make. I don't think this will be exactly a tutorial. I'm going to call it a little more of a recipe. So I want to explain, first of all, most of you are very familiar with this type of poncho. You go around, you start by making a chain that you join, and then you work out the numbers to put a point at the front and a point at the back, and you just continually go around. Now this one is pretty straightforward. It's pretty much all double crochets going around, and when you get to the point at the front, it looks like you do 2 double crochets, chain, probably 2, and 2 double crochets to continue making that point that goes all the way down. And you do the same thing at the back. The back seems to be not quite as open. And every so often in this pattern, I did a window row, but I didn't follow a particular pattern to do it. So that is the very common type of poncho. And some of them will put a bigger neck on them, you know, a higher like cowl neck. And some will have patterns in them. And that's fine. I have made a few of these. You have to be very careful to get your chain connected without twisting it, and work out the numbers to have a front and back, and then it's pretty straightforward. But I also like to make, and I think in some ways I like this better, I like to make a poncho that doesn't have that V. I mean, it's got a V in the neck to a certain extent, but it doesn't have the V, the point that goes all the way down. It is pointed at the very bottom, as you can see, but that's because of the way you put it together. So this is the kind of poncho I like to make quite frequently. In some ways, I find it easier than the other. And it also, yes, that allows for versatility to some extent. This allows for a little more in my way of thinking. So I'm going to give you kind of a recipe, because you don't want to spend hours watching me crochet. This one was done strictly in double crochets, and that is it. And it is 2 rectangles that you make that you're happy with, and you put them together in a special way. So I'm going to get you started right now. I'll just let me go pick up my yarn. I got this bag of yarn mill ends. I'm thinking I got it from Hirschner. Won't swear to it, but I think Hirschner. And I took out one ball, and I'm going to get you started, and then I'm going to send you away to work on it, and then I will finish up. We'll come back together to talk about how you assemble it. So the first thing you're going to do is create a chain, and I have just made a chain and double crocheted on it. I'm going to double crochet several rows, and then I'm going to put a row of, I think I'm going to put double cross stitch. And if you're not sure what a double cross stitch is, you can look back in my videos. I have a tutorial on that. But the basis is that you're going to make 2 rectangles, and you can make those 2 rectangles with any stitch you want. I happened to make one of these before, and I will hunt and see if I have a picture I can put in here. I made one for Diane at My Pink Bathtub with a kind of busy fall yarn. Mine isn't as busy. And I put this double cross stitches in that. Now, here's what I'm going to send you off to do on your own. You have to make 2 rectangles. And the rectangles I'm going to recommend for a fairly standard size poncho is 19 across. Mine measures just slightly more than 19. And you're going to do that rectangle for however many rows it takes until you get to 33 inches. Now, somebody does metric instead. So let me give you, without my taking time to work it out, 19 inches means you need it to be about 48, 49 centimeters across. And you're going to keep going until it is 33 inches long or 84 centimeters long if you're doing in centimeters. I work mostly in inches, the old imperial. So what you need to do is pick any stitch you like and make these 2 rectangles. I wouldn't get carried away with making a real busy pattern. I would do something fairly plain and straightforward to start with. But you want it to be about 19 inches by 33. Now, if you think you want to make it for a smaller person, or you think you want to make it for a very big person, and you don't think that this particular poncho would be big enough, and you can see it's a good size poncho. It definitely fits me, and I'm not tiny. But if you do want to make adjustments, that's fine. You can make it whatever width you want. The only thing I will caution you about is that the width and the length have to grow or decrease together in proportion. And the difference between the width and the length has to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 14 inches. Mine is 14 inches. And let me just double check on here. Yeah. That's 6.5 to 7. So it has to do with how big you want this neck to be. And the difference between the width and the length will determine the size of this neck. And I try to keep it 13, 14 inches. If you like it a wee bit bigger, you could go 15 inches. But the difference between the width and the length, I think a safe measurement difference is 14 inches. So that's what I'm going to recommend that you do. is about 19 by 33. If you want to go 20 by 34, you know, and that will make it a little bigger, but it won't make a huge neckline, then fine, you can make it bigger. Or if you have a smaller person and you want to do it, say 15 by about 29, maybe even 28. If they're smaller, they might have a smaller neck. But that's sort of the standard I go by when I'm making it. So you make 2 rectangles, any stitch you or design you want. If you want to do it just plain, it'll still be perfectly fine. This was a color changing yarn. So if you have, you know, a mandala or something like that and want to use it, you can see it works perfectly well. And I'm going to meet you back here when I have my 2 rectangles done. And that's when it's important to show you how to put it together. Assembling it is the part that I'll have to show you. So I'll see you back here when you get your 2 rectangles done. Oh, some of you may be thinking, what about hook size? In this case, I'm using a 5.5 millimeter. I mean, you could use a 5 or a 6. It depends a lot on your yarn, and it depends on how loose or tight, how thick you want the fabric to be, or how loose and drapey you want it. That's a personal choice, but just so you know, I'm using a 5.5 with this. I don't know the weight of it. I might guess that it's a 3, a little heavier 3, if that helps any. All right, see you back here soon. All right, here we are again. Hopefully you have your 2 rectangles finished. This is a couple weeks later that I'm filming this next section, but I have my 2 rectangular pieces done. And here they are. I don't know if I can get back far enough for you to be able to see this next part very well, but I've made my 2 sections. They are the same length pretty much, and when I was measuring them to finish the length, I found out that the one piece is a few inches wider than the other piece. Wider than it should have been. I don't know how it got that wide because I did measure it when I started. Now, there's no way I was going to take it out and go back and do the whole thing again. But it will still work for our purposes. So this is what you do. You take the one piece, the lengthwise. You can see I put a bit of a double cross stitch in it every so often. You take the one piece, the lengthwise, and you take this other piece, there's the length of it, and you turn it sideways. And you take the side of it and you place it at the top. You take the top of it and place it at the side of the other piece. And you then, if I can hold this back here, you then seam it up with the short side next to the long side. And I'm going to go do that and come back. You can seam this up any way you want. It's your choice how you do it. I think I'm going to try the mattress stitch. It is supposed to be somewhat invisible. It's a little more difficult when you're working with the top of a row and the sides of all your rows. But that's what I'm going to go and do. And I'll be back in a few minutes to show you the next step. Okay, here I am back again. And I forgot to tell you last time that I had this much yarn left over. This is the 4th ball of that group of four cakes I showed you. I used 3 cakes to make the 2 pieces, and I had this one left over, and I'm using obviously some of it to be able to put these together. So this is what you have now. You have your two pieces that are at right angles to each other, and you'll see a bit of yarn hanging there, and that's because I didn't tie off the end. I just fastened it there so I wouldn't lose track of what was my front side, so that I do it from the same side. Now I just want to show you up close. You really can't see that seam. Now fortunately this is busier yarn, so it blends in, but on both sides you really can't see it. So now, next step, you have these two pieces at right angles to each other. Now you're going to take this one. Here's the long side of it that has the other one going perpendicular to it. And I pulled it a little bit too tight right there, so it's puckering a bit. Now you're going to take the end of this long one and you're going to put it at right angles to the other one, like this, to close it in. So you put one at right angles to the other, then you take this one and you put it at right angles to this. Here's the long piece of it, and you're going to take this side and put it up against this side. So when it's closed in, when you finish that side, you're going to have a hole, but I'll show you that better after I seam it. So that's the next thing you have to do, is seam the short end to the long side of the other one. And I'm going to go do that, and then I'll be back with you again. See you in a few minutes. So here I am for one final time. I now have both sides put together, and you really can't tell. That's the one that was puckered, and this is the other side over here. Now, I'm sure you found it a little more awkward to put the second seam together because, of course, there was pull from the other side. When you're finished, you should be able to you should have two V's, and you can put them together, and then you will see you have a poncho. Now, the problem with mine is, as I told you, I had one side that was, well, I don't know, it was at least 3 inches wider than the other side, and I don't know how that happened. So, of course, when you match up the V's, you have it bigger on one side of the neck than on the other side. See that? But if you followed my instructions and did what I said and not what I did, and had the two sides the same, which is the key, then you will have a poncho. And it will be the same on each side. One side will match up and the other side. Now, at this point, this is totally up to you. I'm not sure if I will do this, only because I did this for demonstration purposes, and I don't know if anybody wants this poncho with the uneven sides. But probably because you have the edge of your rectangles at the neck, I would strongly recommend that you do at least a couple of rows going around the neck. I would maybe just single crochets, 2 or 3 rows, and in the point I would do 3 single crochets or double crochets, whatever you're doing, 3 single crochets together around in that point, front and back. And That'll give it a finished look at the edge. Some of you might even want to do it around the outside edge, but that would be up to you. Again, I have a bit of puckering down there at the bottom, but that's how you can make a poncho with just 2 rectangles, any pattern that you like, that you might use for a blanket, use as a poncho. 2 rectangles that are the same size with about 14 inches difference in the length and the width. This one had more. It wasn't too big for a neck. I mean, if you had 15 or 16, it probably wouldn't be too bad. I don't like a big open neck. You might like your necks a little bit bigger. But that's how you can make 2 rectangles and just put them together, rather than trying to get the right size circle, trying to get the points at front and back in the proper place. And my hardest part with that is, you know, you do a chain and you have to join it, and it's very hard to keep that initial chain from twisting. And then I find that I do a chain plus a row of double crochets going back, then I can make it flat and join it. But I really like this method of making a poncho. So I hope that it's been helpful to you. If I do decide to, I don't know, if I do decide to go around the neck, I will show it to you on the actual video when I show you this. But I think it would be a waste of material to do that, because or maybe if I give it as a donation, but still, do they want this lopsided neck? I'll put it on and see how it feels later. So I hope you found that helpful in knowing how to make a poncho in a different way from the regular ones with the circle and the points that you have to make front and back. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. And now I'll get back to the regular scheduled program. All right, so here is that poncho I was showing you. I hope the poncho or the instructions were clear enough for you to understand how to put one together. But what I learned is, from that experience, it's very important that the 2 panels be very, very close in size. If they're out by a half an inch, I don't think it'll make that much difference. But mine was out substantially, and that's why we get this lopsided neck. And when you put it on, what really happens is it fits on your shoulders, and the point of the neck is off to the side. And that wouldn't be so bad. You could think that's a fashion statement. But the thing is, it also makes the point go off to the side as well. And you would really like to have the point in the middle. And I had a couple of friends telling me what they thought I should do to make this work. And honestly, yeah, it might make it look better up here if I put some kind of cowl or whatever on it. But it wouldn't change the fact that it is off kilter. It wouldn't change the fact that it would still have the point in the wrong place. And if you put the point in the right place, I don't think this will sit well on your shoulders. I don't know. If you have a really good suggestion, I'm glad to hear it. But I don't know. I'm thinking I should just ditch it. I guess I could take it apart and remake one of the sections, but I'm not in love with it enough to really want to bother. There are so many other things I'd really prefer to be working on. So I have a feeling this is just going to go by the wayside. Unless somebody has a great suggestion for me. Ripping it out isn't something I really want to do either. So, unfortunately, that my mistake, but I certainly learned something from it, and that is to be very careful to do some measuring. I mean, you do the first panel, whatever works, and the second panel, you have to measure carefully to make sure that it fits and matches the first one. They have to be matching panels, the two rectangles. They have to match, or it's it's not going to work out well at all. So hopefully the instructions, if you pay attention to the instructions and don't do what I did, you're able to make a decent poncho. And I had hoped to have a picture here to show you, or at the beginning somewhere, what the poncho really looks like when you make it correctly, because I did make one for a friend. And if I get a chance, I might go to her video and grab a picture there. We'll see what I can do. If I can, I will put in a picture here of the one that I made for Diane. Anyhow, that's enough about that poncho. Yeah, I want to leave it behind me. Also, I wanted to say thanks for your response last week. You seem to enjoy that book review. A few of you went and purchased that book, so that's great. So it seems like you don't mind if you get book reviews instead of the actual designer focus. I still want to do designer focuses, and I have a couple of designers that I want to make some of their patterns, and then I will contact them and hopefully I get a response so that I can do a designer focus. But I do have a few books in my collection, and I will maybe intersperse some book reviews along the way as well. So thank you for your support of that. You seem very, very happy to get these book reviews. I don't have a lot, but I have a few. Next, I just want to talk some yarn. I'm sure this is going to be a shorter video than usual, although I don't know how long my tutorial is. We'll find out. But I think you might remember, I received some EFA yarn and I'm going to show you that. But first, I want to talk about this. I showed you some yarn that I got from EFA that is called the Sugar Fluff Fingering. I have 3 skeins, different colors that I want to work with, and I just love the feel of this yarn. And I decided I wanted to do something with it. Well, then later I saw sitting down here, and I showed it to you. I have this, what do they call this? Crushed cashmere lace. And I happened to order some of this. And again, cashmere lace, it feels beautiful. I have to say this one, the Surrey, feels much better. It's 80% Surrey and the rest is acrylic. But I really like them together, and I got the brainwave that I wanted to make something Christmassy, and there was green, and the green arrived this past week, and there it is. So I have these 2 to go with this. See the Christmas colors in it? Now, they're not the same green and red as this. I don't care. I'm going to put these 2 with this. Now, I think this is a normal size, 437. Oh, no, it's not. It's smaller. 364 yards in this. And these each have 317 yards. That's an oopsie, but it looks fine to me. Anyhow, I want to make something with the 3 of these, and I want to make it later this fall so that I will have it for Christmas. I'm looking for ideas. I've been thinking a cowl. It has enough to make a shawl. Might even have enough to make a wrap, what I call a wrap. Some people call them shawls. Asymmetrical triangle. Something that I will be able to wrap around my neck. I want this up close to my neck. It is so soft. And I'll make this, of course, the predominant. If I don't use all of these, if they're just, you know, a little bit of color in the middle of this, that would be fine. I suppose a one skein wonder, but most of CJ Brady's though are one color for one skein. And although I'd like to make a fashion scarf, I would like, I got all kinds of fuzz and hair in my mouth. I would like to make something for my neck. And a cowl might be the best choice, but mainly this with a little bit of these colors in it for contrast. So if you have an idea, if you have a suggestion of a pattern that would work, I'd love to hear it. Please let me know. Put something in the comments down below. Yes, that's going to be worked on this fall. I look forward to getting busy at that within the next couple of months. So I'm going to show you a little bit more of EFA yarn that I received in the mail. I won't spend a lot of time at it, but I did want to show some of it. First of all, I got, I think they were having a sale on these. These are mostly, I made up one whole order that was oopsies or sale items that I have looked at for a long time. So I love their Sparkle DK, and I got this one in Cognac. Sparkle DK is 60% merino, 26 nylon, 10 baby alpaca, and 4 metallic. And I think I have a Sparkle DK that is a variegated with browns and maybe dark, almost black or charcoal in it, or maybe it's browns with a creamy color. I'm not sure, but I know I have some variegated browns, and I thought having a solid one, this would go nice with it. So that's a Sparkle DK, and another Sparkle DK is this one I've looked at for a long time, and it's called Twilight Lavender. And I'm surprised that I don't have it, so now I do. You see the different purples in it and different kind of teals and maybe blues. There's some green, teal. So that's Sparkle DK. Now, this one I had a purpose in ordering it because, as you know, I like blues, particularly navies. And I have a number of yarns that would go quite nicely with a navy. And I have some blues, but I don't have a lot of navies, a nice true navy. And I thought I would order this. It's called Authentic Alexandrite. Now I'm surprised because Alexandrite usually has a little bit of a purple in it, variegated in it. But this is, in my book, pretty solid. It might be tonal blue. And this is Cremesock. EFA's Cremesock, which is 70% superwash merino and 30% silk. Has only 350 yards in it, but you can see this is a really nice true navy. And I forgot I had ordered it, and I'm putting together a cart there today, and I came across this and I thought I better put that in my cart. Well, now that I see it, I think I will get a second one. That way I'll be sure to have a couple of navies. It's almost, well, it's not black, but boy, it gets dark in some places. But this is a really, really nice navy, I think, if you like a true navy. So there's, if you're interested in knowing, Cremesock. Then I have a couple of other yarns here, and alpaca silk lace. All three of them are alpaca silk lace, and then we'll be done. Now, alpaca silk lace is 50% baby alpaca and 50% mulberry silk. And it feels divine This one's called Mulling Spices. So it is a burgundy wine, but it's I don't know if you call it variegated. It's tonal for sure. Beautiful, beautiful, deep, rich colors. Almost, well, you can't see it, but here it's almost to a black. It doesn't look near as dark in the camera as it does here. It's really, yeah, the whole skein looks dark. It looks brighter on the screen, but it's beautiful. It's a beautiful color. It'll make a really nice one skein. And then I also got, this one is an oopsie called Sommelier. A nice tone of dusty rose, but not exactly. By the way, these have 604 yards in them. They go a fair bit, and they're DK. Oh no, that one's lace. Oh yeah, all of them are lace. No wonder they have 604 yards. They're lace. But as I've shown you before, this lace weight is, I'm sure my Oasis fingering is about the same thickness almost as this lace. So I think I won't have any trouble working with it. Beautiful color. And then finally, a nice autumn color. It's called Cinnamon Sticks. Cinnamon Sticks. And it has some, it actually has a few pops of orange in it there. Some taupes and grays and a goldy look up here. Again, though, even the wine color in it, that'll be a gorgeous color worked up into probably a one skein scarf, shawl maybe. 604 would make a nice lacy shawl. Beautiful, beautiful. And they feel absolutely wonderful. So I just wanted to share those with you. It pretty much gets us, I do have one other little bit of lavender EFA yarn down there. I have a kit or two, a couple of kits, but we'll talk about them another day. Pretty much brings us up to date. I still have yarn that I ordered from a couple of Canadian dyers in the summer, part of the, one in, one out. They came in during the summer, and there's a special reason for one of them, and we'll talk about it in a couple of weeks. So next week, believe it or not, is the 25th, which is the last Thursday of September. And we will be celebrating we're celebrating everything next week. So you're going to want to tune in then, because I know this video has been a wee bit shorter than usual. But we have some cards, we have some presents. Yeah, we'll have a little bit of excitement next week. And I don't have anything. Well, maybe I'll have my butterfly item finished, and I can show you that as well. So a little bit should be kind of exciting next week. So hopefully you'll stop by, and I always have to go looking. And until then, until I see you again, happy hooking.